At the turn of the 20th century, American newspapers, spurred on by Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst, were in the midst of a significant and very colorful change. Yellow journalism had already manufactured a war, the Spanish-American. Now, editors such as Morrill Goddard and Arthur Brisbane were dramatically transforming the Sunday paper through large comics in full color and many new features that we take for granted today, Sunday supplements included. With these innovations came a new emphasis on women readers. Female reporters were dispatched to cover a variety of events, ranging from courtrooms to fight arenas, bringing a woman's perspective to the news. Meanwhile, editors developed new features structured to appeal to ladies as well as men, perhaps even more so. A pioneer in this arena was Elizabeth Gilmer, who, as Dorothy Dix, targeted articles and later advice at that mixed audience. Dix's chief rival through the years was an amazing problem solver known as Beatrice Fairfax. In real life, Beatrice was Marie Manning, a woman whom flamboyant editor Arthur Brisbane had recruited for Joseph Pulitzer's New York World. But shortly thereafter, Hearst, who had already pirated Morrill Goddard and the World's whole Sunday staff, stole Brisbane too. Brisbane's creative team, Marie Manning included, switched papers and syndicate with him. That was in 1897. The Fairfax column emerged the next year. For her Hearst byline, Manning said she took the name Beatrice from Dante's heroine, and Fairfax after the Virginia county in which her parents had a country home. Almost immediately, the columnist's lively responses to everyday problems sent in by readers, men as well as women, made her famous wherever papers of the Hearst chain were sold. Her fame was reflected in a variety of ways. In Victor Herbert's popular musical comedy of 1903, Babes in Toyland, Mary Quite Contrary sang a parody number called Beatrice Fairfax.
Oh, write to Beatrice Fairfax whenever you are in doubt. Oh, she will help you out. She'll put your doubt to rout. The talented Miss Fairfax, she tells a thing or two in the perfect ladies' column of the Woman's Home Magoo.
Other songs would come, like the one of 1915 that began, Beatrice Fairfax, Tell Me What to Do.
Oh, Beatrice Fairfax, what shall I do? I want the bare facts, the truth from you. I have a nice young sweetheart, the best a girl could get. Although he's always teasing, he hasn't kissed me yet. Oh, darling Beatrice, it's up to you. So print my answer, kindly do.
Beatrice herself supposedly offered the lyrical advice of the lighthearted Take Your Girlie to the Movies.
Beatrice Fairfax gives advice to anyone in love. That's why Johnny Gray wrote to her one day.
And 19-year-old Ginger Rogers sang the line, Beatrice Fairfax, don't you dare tell me he will care, in the verse of the long popular Torch song, But Not For Me, which Ginger introduced in the Gershwin musical Girl Crazy. The Fairfax aura spread to media not even around when the column began. In 1934, radio had a program in which future serial hero Warren Hall appeared in dramatizations of problems that the famed columnist had to solve. Then, during the 1937-38 radio season, Marie Manning appeared before the mic as Beatrice to offer advice right on the air. After a long hiatus, Manning had returned to the column following the 1929 stock market crash. When the romance craze hit the comic book world in the mid-20th century, Dear Beatrice Fairfax joined the Love Parade, presenting 3 new illustrated dramas of the heart per issue. And as she had in her newspaper column, Beatrice herself answered reader-submitted questions on its letters page. In 1912, a new motion picture phenomenon appeared, the movie serial, a genre that initially put plucky women at the forefront of the adventures. That year, Edison Studios and the Ladies' World magazine simultaneously presented episodes of What Happened to Mary. Before long, newspapers got into the act, using dual media serials to boost circulation. The Chicago Tribune and Selig Studios joined forces for The Adventures of Kathleen, which introduced cliff-hanging chapter endings. Universal Pictures and the Chicago Herald teamed for Lucille Love, Girl of Mystery, and the Hearst papers struck gold with The Perils of Pauline. In 1916, the Hearst team came up with the idea to capitalize upon a prominent asset and build a chapter play upon it. That asset was none other than Beatrice Fairfax. The Wharton Studios took on the production duties for her episodic serial, originally entitled Letters to Beatrice, and contracted with Hearst International Film Service to produce 15 two-reel episodes, using popular film actors the caliber of Creighton Hale and Billy Quirk in featured roles. To impersonate the title character, they hired an attractive young woman named Grace Darling, probably because she resembled Lillian Lafferty, the woman who had assumed the column's ghostwriter chores after Marie Manning withdrew. Lafferty, who continued in the Fairfax job for 10 years, would become a successful print author, and also enter the radio world as a creator of daytime serials, radio's popular Big Sister included. The Beatrice Fairfax series was shot primarily in Ithaca, New York. The Wharton brothers had also successfully lensed the follow-up serials to The Perils of Pauline, entitled The Exploits of Elaine, The New Exploits of Elaine, and The Romance of Elaine. All of these serials starred Pearl White and brought her to fame as the world's first serial queen. The Whartons also produced the occult serial The Mysteries of Myra and the war preparedness film Patria, starring Irene Castle, for the Hearst International Film Service. The Whartons had cast actors Mike Rail, Alan Murnane, and Elsie Baker, among others, in all three productions. Local talent, as well as students from Cornell University, filled in minor roles, while notable residents, policemen, and hotel managers appeared as themselves in various scenes. The first episode of the Beatrice Fairfax series originally contained a prologue filmed at the real-life New York Evening Journal office. Adding to the authenticity, Hearst and Brisbane played themselves. Though film elements of that initial episode may have since disappeared. Luckily, Miss Fairfax remembers the serial's first adventure, and now she'll tell you the story of the missing watchman. So let's go back to 1916 and discover Beatrice Fairfax in action, remembering, as we do so, her oft-stated advice: dry up your eyes, roll up your sleeves, and dig for a practical solution. Beatrice?
Oh, Beatrice Fairfax, what shall I do? I want the bare facts, the truth from you. I have a nice young sweetheart, the best a girl could get. Although he's always teasing, he hasn't kissed me yet. Oh, darling Beatrice, it's up to you. So print my answer, kindly do. He takes me out to dances, now should I take those chances? Oh, Beatrice, Beatrice, tell me what to do.
The story of the missing watchman all started with me at my desk at the New York Evening Journal, as usual, reading my mail. One letter in particular interested me. It was signed by Mary Ryan, who told me she believed her fiancé, a watchman in a bank, was growing cold in his affection. My good friend, the Journal's star reporter, Jimmy Barton, came in just then with the story of a bank robbery. As he began to type it, I looked over his shoulder and, reading his copy, I saw that suspicion pointed to the watchman of the bank. I recalled Mary Ryan's letter and told Jimmy about it. Jimmy and I then hurried in a taxi to Mary's home. There we learned her story. There was, of course, another woman. Mary and I started out to find her rival, while Jimmy decided to do some sleuthing and trail a notorious bank robber to his home. Jimmy then heard him relate the true story of the robbery to his mother. The bank robbers had enmeshed the watchman into a trap. He had flirted with the other woman, and she inveigled him into their den. There they bound and gagged him and took his uniform. One of them impersonated him as the watchman at the bank. At midnight he admitted his confederates, and the robbers drilled the doors of the vaults, then escaped with the money. They caught Jimmy eavesdropping. A fight followed, and the robber and his mother escaped from the house. Jimmy heard groans in the cellar and found the bank watchman there, bound and gagged. He told Jimmy how the other woman led him into a trap at her home. Together they left to locate the house. Mary and I reached there before them. The robber with whom Jimmy had had the fight saw them peeping through the keyhole as the other robbers counted their loot. Realizing they were trapped, the robbers prepared for flight. After a desperate struggle, Mary and I were forced into a room where one of the robbers, a doctor, set fire to a mixture he had already prepared, which produced a deadly gas. Mary and I were fast losing consciousness when Jimmy and the watchman, with a number of detectives, arrived. There was a terrific battle with the robbers, all of whom were finally overpowered, as we two women returned to consciousness and the funds of the bank were restored. After a few explanations, there was a happy reunion between Mary and the watchman. Then, Jimmy and I hurried to our office, where we wrote the story of the capture of the bank robbers and the recovery of the plunder for a midnight extra.